Mhm. Morning. How are you guys doing this morning? Hope you're doing well. Uh, we're still in the November season here in the US. We have snow. I really shouldn't cuss like that here. Say that, even though this isn't for 18 or older, please let have my kid in. I don't think I restricted this. Like I just said, whatever. Don't. It's not for children, but don't restrict it, which is odd. It's like if it's not for children, you should probably not have content on for children. So I do need to build a following. Following will come. The more often I post content, the more often people who like this content should be found and enjoy it. So I was thinking about something. It's a common feature throughout my life, anybody's life, everybody's life. Things coming around full circle. The wheel, and how like the pagans, they represent their year in the form of a wheel because it comes again. Like our planet is a big round ball. And so we have these cycles. Week comes back around, the month comes back around, and we have all sorts of things that come around. Like I know that if you had a traumatic experience during a certain time of year, like somebody died, something bad happened, your body, your mind sometimes remembers, your emotions sometimes remember, sometimes your mind remembers, but your body, you get sad or you go through an emotional thing that time a year. Or if you're in a relationship, if your last relationship lasted 4 years. I've noticed this. I don't know if this is true for everybody, but for the circles that I've noticed, for the people that I've noticed, you've been in a relationship and your last relationship was, say, 4 years. Your next relationship, that fourth year, every 4 years, your relationship gets a little rocky. Just a little. And you wonder, is it time to let this relationship get? Because you cycle through, your body comes to expect. So every day we have these habits and these things that we do come full circle. I like to make sure my conversations come full circle if I'm able to. Difficult to do with attention deficit disorder or hyper deficit disorder. And you come through, and a lot of stuff we do comes into these circles, and sometimes they spiral, bigger. You can get outside your circle of things that come around and expand. And it looks like a spiral. And you could spiral out or you could spiral in the same part. But if you take that spiral and you spread it out, it can shape it, mold it, this concept of things coming around. Sometimes you get this cylindrical shape, sometimes you get a globe-esque type shape, sometimes you get a cone type shape, and things with life just, they come around. And Do I have any squares in this? Oh, I might have a square. I just need one as a. That is so cute too. That's so cute. Okay, this is cute. Very, 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 very cute for a. Okay, so this part of the. Okay, let's grab gold square. I do all this by hand currently, so I don't have other tools. I have a sewing machine, and if I can get more fluent in the sewing machine, it'd probably help if I didn't get cheap thread. Oh, that looks nice. Then they'd probably, we could probably do this one too. It would probably not bunch up on me as much and go better, you know what I mean? Okay. All right. These are a little tight squares. I feel like they're a little tight. I feel like I should have more of a hem. Otherwise, they're going to be little squares. I don't know. I have to treat just that. So my daughter imitated me doing scraps with tissue last night in the middle of the kitchen floor. So I gotta show her. I told her we'd have to do a different day. Same thing, so that she can do for her dollies. There's lots of fabric to do and lots of stuff to keep at. It looks darn overwhelming. Let's put that word in. So, yeah. So, thought about how lots and lots of stuff comes full circle. There's lots of circles in life. I mean, I feels like when you're a baby, you have to have everything taken care of, and then you get older, take care of you again. I wonder if we could increase our health in older age somehow. That would be better. Let's see. So what I'm trying to do is to create this float with material in my house so that we don't have like trash and we don't bring in as much stuff as we're trying to throw away, and then we can recreate a flow. It comes in, it goes out, it changes, because if you think about it, it's life. We're born and we can, after we pass away, if you're not preserved with like stuff like traditionally, if you think about how in some traditions they were fed to the birds and the body used into fuel, put back into the soil, um, your corpse is used up, nutrients, all things. If we start bringing back the cycle and we take care of our waste, which rather than wasting our water to do so and putting the water back in the earth, we might not have, because I mean, our water is trapped. It's not going through. It's not being rained. It's in pipes and in tanks and in stuff like that. So the more often, if we have a cycle, more often we can clean and do and perpetuates its pendulum. I can't pendulum. There's a this word. It comes back around again. We'll just say that. I like rhyming and using words that begin with the same letter or that have similar structure, amount of syllables, and it gives a type of symbolic meaning, and it kind of flows where the language goes. I'm learning more about ASL so that I can do that. Never stop learning. The more you learn, the more you navigate, the more you charge ahead. Cycle. You build muscle, you rest, or you work out, you rest, you build muscle, you go from there so that you keep that muscle, you maintain it, and all things are in a. That's how we get our patterns. There's no true random. We like to say that there's true random, but if you follow a random pattern, will eventually emerge. If you follow a random occurrence, a pattern emerges every time so far that we've found. So this is something that gets to be tested over and over and over again. And so far we haven't had different results that we know of. We haven't experienced different results. You just continue on this infinite pattern. I mean, I'm sure pi comes back around again somewhere. That would be intriguing. It's not a human. There's probably some tiny god, number, because for God, it's probably a pattern. We could probably deal with infinite numbers differently or something. Who knows? I wonder if I have to go sharpen these. This is fun. The way that it will feel in a pillow, stuffing for a pillow. I need to get like a liner. Wash it doesn't unravel and come out. I need to just get liner material. Find it somewhere. Find a sheet. I can build out of necessity. I've accumulated a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't buy. I should probably just find something to use as a liner. Just double it up or something. Do it like the days old. Utilize everything that we have in the house. Liquidate it. I'd like to liquidate a lot of the stuff in the house, gift it, repurpose it, and find the real power of its. I wonder if I know what these are called. Seams. Hmm, the seams are going to be too sexually hard for a pillow. It'll be fine. I wonder how I should sharpen the scissors. Yeah, because like it looks like, oh no, the population for people is doing it. No, no, it's not. Better not. Um, it looks low right now. It'll go back up when it's needed. Right now, if you've seen the population, if the population continues to explode, we won't be able to support ourselves. The planet won't be able to support us. So, our resources are dwindling. So what we need to do is we need to value ourselves and the resources that we currently have if you want the population to go back up, if you want Mother Nature who like notice these things. It's probably written in our DNA code somewhere that should take care of your resources to have available for the amount of population that we have. Humans are not going to die out unless we continue to not take care of the planet. I mean, we're intertwined with the planet, which is interesting. So all those that are like, oh, we're really an alien race that just decided to populate Earth. It's an interesting theory. Interesting hypothesis. I don't know where they test it into theory. But I need to get a pair of left-handed scissors so that I can exercise my other hand. I wanted to exercise more. But there's that thing of I didn't want. I want to have exercised. I want to get the exercise in the body. I just don't want to do the exercising, honestly. But I want the benefits of exercise. So that means I'm just going to have to exercise, depending on which one do I want more. Our health, our physical health, and plus spiritually. When you've exercised and you've done it right, like you breathe right when you exercise, and you start to get where your body can like expel certain energy. It does stuff to your brain. It helps your brain feel, you know, feel good in ways. I love the way that, mind works and the way that exercise is part of who and what we are. We can get this spiritual high off exercise and a mental high and an emotional high that our body can provide by exercising. So yeah, should do it for spiritual, emotional, good health. I mean, shouldn't just exercise just for one reason. I should probably put down several different reasons to help keep me motivated if one is not sustainable past, so many months. It's more, I want more than just a fat exercise, fat health. I want maintaining health. Yeah. Snippity, snippity, snap. Chicken. I'm going to put these all in something. This is not happening. So I will. I think what I'll do is use that frill that was on the bottom and do like maybe do like to the ends with it. It'll be cute. She'll be happy. She doesn't want a blanket, so I'll make a pillow out of it. I'll do it under the arms so that it'll be easier to cut down the fabric that I want for a pillow, it will not be any easier to expand the size of a pillow. Now what would be cute? You took this, you took some fabric and, like laid it out, like made a button up or something. And like, yeah, that's probably not going. This would be a cute pillow. I would probably have a pillow similar to this. Can't think of a nightgown and pillow, but I'll make another one. It's already written it. I like writing on our stuff. So yeah, and then this. What am I going to do with this? I might use a different pair of scissors, but I might cut these seams up into like the bolts so that I know so that it feels that's not so bad. So that the pillow doesn't feel rough. And I don't know. It'll something. I noticed. Let's strive to start my day with passion. Something that I love makes it easier to get up. Like I want to get up and I wanna write. I'm inspired to write and just write. You know, that's the first thing you wake up to. So that means at night I'm gonna have to take care of a lot of the grooming. So when I get up, I'm comfortable enough. Like just you know, and I should have a certain time of the day designated just for getting the light. So should get ready for like each day. If it's infinite, it's hard. So for me, it's like a movie never ends because there's always going to be a sequel, or a book won't end. The chapter, it's hard to distinguish like a stop point, like a chapter point or a page point, because the story keeps going. It's just left me with a cliffhanger. I want to continue. So the hardest part about thinking of things in cycles, thinking of things in circles, from thinking of things that continue and never end and infinite or stop points. People have this autistic people or people that aren't autistic, I've noticed have no problem with the stopping or where to begin. I've noticed that as well, from what I've seen, from what I've been exposed to, and how I perceive what I've been exposed to. Mind you, may it be as different as there's many different people on this beautiful existence of the solar system. I don't think anybody's left the solar system. I have no idea where the dead body is that they ejected into space to bury them in space. Which I wonder about the weight of the planet as it's circling through and rotating around the sun. When we keep ejecting stuff into space, how much lighter the planet is. Not going to be noticeable, but how much can you throw off our trajections? Interesting. I've been like, you'd need a physicist to sit there and think about that kind of math. I don't have the time currently, or the willingness to take the time. So that's the thing, is when we say we don't have time, what time have we taken? Where do we invest our time, our thoughts, our feelings? and our relationship, the things we invest in. Money is valued on our experience, on our health. We spend on our health, we spend on our experience, we spend on our needs and our desires. And then in some cases, I feel like they've switched to desire and then needs, which is interesting because when I was growing up, it wasn't that the way. It was more important to do otherwise. And so I have to wonder and sit here and consider our thoughts for a moment, if you will, to think about what we invest in, our personal investments, and what are we getting out of it. Not so much how much we're getting paid or the value of it, which is only denoted as a certain percentage of the actual value is what a price is. A trade, a note of worth for gold and or coinage and that of legal note tenders and transactions, virtual transactions. Now consider for a moment that is supposed to be only a fragment or a percentage of its actual value. Your time, your service, your goods, your physical stuff, your virtual stuff, stuff that you hold of value, and things that are only held of value after it's gone. So then consider that for a moment. It's a lot to consider for several people, I'm sure. For myself, how do I want to invest? So, yes, where do we want to invest our thoughts? What value do we want out of our thoughts? They don't have to have value. They don't have to, at this point, produce. But if we allow for a moment our thoughts, what we want out of our lives that we know or we're familiar with, and we can navigate and perceive what is likely to occur out of what we do, the cause and results. And truly, do we know? I don't think you can pinpoint certain single points of cause to get results. Sometimes we do that. We put this is the reason why this happened. And I have to wonder if it's not more than that. There's lots to consider. You see something in the news and somebody get prosecuted for being, naughty and doing something and a scandal occurred. But I have to wonder, when it's political, it's usually a distraction. I'll throw him under the bus so that I can get away with this. He's probably the lesser of two evils. Politicals do that a lot. It apparently gains them something. We are beings of electricity, I swear. We go the route of the easiest, and I mean we should fight that because it's like a dry. I notice with the kids, if you make them do things rather than have it a natural part of life where you go out of your way to strive to get something to occur, it doesn't have the same type of beauty, luxury, sweetness that something naturally occur, and they're just naturally good. I mean, like how that feels like something so that we really, really want when we've worked our little heinies off, did everything right, did everything as we were told, and then somebody just gets it. Somebody just gets the reward, and the same thing that we struggled tooth and nail for. Somebody else just looks like they get handed to him with a silver platter. The value of our effort versus the value of what somebody can do. Oh, that wasn't. So I have to wonder those kind of things. And yeah, what we truly value, what we truly desire, what's truly like that inner, that instinct, the type of natural occurring things. Sometimes if things are too hard, being in a being of electricity where the like electrical little between neurons and all this everything fires, and it fires a lot better if you're happy and if you like it. So if it's natural and you like it, you're gonna get a lot further. It's like picking up the tail and you just whoosh. All of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm already here. That was too easy. It's gonna take 5 minutes. Now what am I going to do with the win? Yeah. So I mean, do they deserve it any less? No. They deserve good life. I mean, we want to punish, but I have to wonder concept of punishing versus teaching what we should do instead. And then we also have the whole thought that, or the whole concept of what a priest deems the great God, great divine, great God is everything, what's his great power interpreted what they want versus, you know, what's better for the humankind, or what is greatly probably what we can only assume is what the great divine really wants. So when I say stuff, I say stuff with this bias filter. So when you receive it, you have to put it through your own filter perception. And then you have to really put it in with your own great divinity for a moment, and in order to get certain results. I'm not saying I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm saying in order to get the results that I get, you put it in through the way you perceive, and you think your way is the only way because it works for you. You've practiced and you've tested and you've got results for the method of what you use. I know I have. Or if you've tried a consistent manner, or if you haven't tried a consistent manner, not trying a consistent method of doing things has gotten you a result that you are familiar with. It allows you to be open minded, it gives you quite a result that you go towards. This is something that I have found commonly over and over and over again. These three things that our beings like to filter things through. Something I move through towards, something I stay neutral and consider, and is neither good nor bad, or something to move towards or away or averse from. It's just neutral, just what it is. It's perfectly healthy or not healthy. It is what it is. It's a pair of scissors. It's not gonna hurt anybody unless something happens that the scissors are, doing things that could hurt, or it could create, snippety snip, and you create the beautiful, it's used. It's neutral. It's just scissors. They themselves are not good or bad. For association, it'd be something like, "Oh, you love scissors, the wonderful things you can do with scissors," or a version like, "Oh my gosh, I got cut so many times. This feeling, I have an aversion towards scissors. I hate scissors. Scissors are awful." Everybody goes through that. Or there's people out there that possibly for as many people as there are out there are as many different experiences, huh? Who could be considering they're just scissors. Sometimes scissors are just scissors, the saying will say. But, ooh, down my forehead, I'm gonna go get that. The cocoa butter's helping. It's definitely softer today, less itchy, less scaly. I will just do another. I think I want to do it before I go to bed lots, because if I do it before I go to bed, it'll sit. Then I'll have to wash my pillows, which is a result of if I do it this way, I'll have that and that and that and that. But yeah, plenty of water. Oh, for my coffee, I put in frozen blueberries to get my coffee to not be too hot, and I did chocolate. So I have blueberry chocolate or mocha coffee. I enjoy it. I like it. So I get the extra antioxidant boost in my coffee, which is a diuretic, which takes things out, which also apparently I learned also like shoots you up with cortisone, and I don't need any more cortisone. So I'm cutting back on coffee to like 1 cup per day. But then I have tea with caffeine in it, so probably more caffeine. So yeah, I don't know. I will get off the caffeine fix, maybe. What I don't understand is why I put a identity on coffee, and then I realize, maybe I'll just kick coffee, kick caffeine. Maybe I shouldn't be attached to an identity. Maybe for me, identity should be fluid. I identify with fluid identity, fluid gender, fluid who I am and what I am. Just when you think you know what I am, a new identity emerges that casts away the other identity. Coffee drinker, avid coffee drinker. Caffeine. And for the health, I should let that go. That's just what. Tell me it's going to be freezing cold. So we are going to do it's freezing cold activities out there, and we are going to love our stuff, go through our stuff. We are going to treasure hunt today with the kids. I got to take them out somewhere. I've got to get before the cabin fever. Kids have different schedules than my body. All right, so my needs with this autism and this ADHD is the kids have routines like they get to get out, they'll get cabin fever, they need more socialization. I'll have these points where I won't need to socialize, and in fact, I'm opposite. I have needs where I don't need to socialize. So this is where I probably need to like community members and build up a community of people with likes, somebody that's safe and trusted for my kids to hang out with and go do fun stuff. And that means I have to go seek them out because I don't have currently anybody that I trust with my kids because I've had such trauma response that I attracted only trauma response people and trauma response people who aren't healed or aren't can have adverse effects with kids. So I with a that sounds hard. With a the time experience with the adults that they're exposed to, or with the amount of people, other kids too, other kids that are trauma response, it's like and these aren't kids that are beaten or anything. No, these are kids that I've noticed with autism. We take things to heart and we keep that in our experience because it teaches us more about the experiences yet to come, how we can factor in these experiences and ADHD. can piss people off. I mean, they're not trying to, but how to meet the people, it's rare to meet the people that have, oh, they never raised their voice to me whatsoever. They've never had a bad word. They just simply good people, not trauma response people. They're out there, but they're like this myth, like shallots. I can't find them. I remember when I went looking for shallots because somebody said shallots were in the ingredient. Onions were substitute. Onions with shallots. I mean, I swear. But shallots. Anytime I went to go look for shallots, they were out, or they didn't have it, or I was looking in the wrong section. Shallots are something you see all these cooking videos and all these other things. Shallots. I mean, it's like, well, go to get shallots, and it's just the moment I found shallots, there's nothing but shallots all over. So so a lot of circles it attracts, or I only pay attention to on the fact that I also attract other trauma response people. And so, or, love for them to hang out with their cousins or something, get out, but it's while we deal with COVID and monkeypox and all that other stuff, my cousins are highly populated. If I could get just a cousin at a time, or one or two cousins at a time, there's no guarantee. I'm like, I want them to hang out with their cousins, and I'm picky. And so, like, yeah, I'd have to build up their immune system. My kids are not eating what's offered with all the stuff to help build up their immune system. They're eating sugar and crap, so I've got to get the sugar crap less offered and just not in the house. I've had so much gluten. I'm trying to get rid of it. Uh, that's okay. I'm trying to decrease as much gluten. I ate like 2 cookies today. I'm like, instead of eating like a lot more that I want to indulge in. Uh, but these are the interesting things. So those who have been through trauma that aren't healed from the trauma, I do short and smaller interactions. These people still have value, and they're still people, and there's they still have wonderful qualities about them, and they are indeed wonderful people, and they are cool. But when you don't heal from trauma reaction kind of does. It's the same. So these people, they have a lot of drama and trauma and all sorts of stuff. And I must have been like that a lot more than I try not to remember. But I mean, the amount of unintended harm that's inflicted, which would be why I'm probably divorced a couple times over, and why I don't have certain people in my circles because there's more harm than good than having them around. And I'm probably harmful to, or was harmful at one point to other people. I work on it. And being poor and stressed out is ugly trauma responding. Um, your body gets all sorts of, and then you start acting weird, physically and mentally. I'm sure I acted like that when it was tight. And I'm learning that when something occurs that would piss me off, or something that normally we get upset about, like spilt milk, that I respond shorter and shorter, less and less upset about with the children. I strive to. I'm not a perfect person. And so there's lots of healing. We go through lots of healing steps. So we do more healing and more calm and less trauma. And the kids, my 2 youngest kids that are here every day, and I wish I could do this with the older kids, a lot of the healing. Um, because as many times as we did lots and lots of good stuff with them, like learning and helping and accommodating without knowing what we were accommodating to for their high intelligence and just what I know now versus what I know then. It's amazing. I mean, they're more resilient, um, they're more happy, less crying throughout the day, and less stress. So it builds more and more enjoyment, less and less suffering throughout the day. I mean, like these kids are, and that's I feel like it doesn't feel fair because I want this for my older children. More often, they probably see me as somebody who was. I had good points, but I mean, they probably saw me as grouchy, mean, and ornery. And it's from that mean and ornery point that I learned my survival and the survival of others and the things around me should be far more calm, should be far more healed. Um, I couldn't survive, like literally, and I don't think I wanted to survive. The way it was worse than death. It was perceived to be worse than death, and that kind of thing. But a lot of people don't like. They're uncomfortable with this feeling. It's not a bad feeling. It just feels bad. It's not a bad feeling. The feeling just feels bad. It's healthy because it's a way that humans can feel. And if we can feel more than just happy and really feel the happy, it really it helps the happy feel. A real happy, not just waiting for the next June or waiting for the next shoe to fall or the next like drop off a cliff feeling. You get more and more consistent of enjoyment, just pure, okay, safe and good feelings. Um, and so if somebody is, you sit there and you think, oh, you're bad because you were angry once. With an open mind, you can learn to heal and learn to help others heal. That's a different little thingy in there. And if you can't, direct them to somebody that can go get counseling if possible. I mean, it's not as I mean, the whole nation feels like it was traumatized by COVID, so therefore we need trauma response trained people. Um, Emotional trauma, uh, spiritual trauma, and it comes out physically sometimes, and illness. And honestly, it feels good, It's kind of therapy for me, but it feels good consistently, and it's something that I want to move towards as a good feeling, which is difficult when you're in the middle because that's not always the safest feeling when you're in trauma and your kids are in, when your life is involved in trauma. Sometimes I notice that a trauma response can be aversions to good feelings. Like this is too good, something bad is about to happen, kind of feeling. Um, they don't want what's good for them. And these people shouldn't be punished unless that's the kink and it's helping them heal. But yeah, to do that kind of, trauma response. I mean, autistic people get traumatized far more easily because we put our heart into certain interactions out on our sleeves and we're sensitive and it matters because we have an understanding where that that word, that interaction, that has more meaning to us, not just that moment of thought. It lasts, you know, um, I was not happy with certain behaviors for my youngest, and poor little, I'm like, no, we need to do, and they had a little meltdown. And they're like, but I wrote "I love you" on my pillow. I love that. So I'm like, okay, so being mad isn't an association of not love, but for you, until you build more associations, okay, maybe we should handle this differently. And so we talked about like where comfortable boundary or behavior of where I could still help them learn what they're supposed to do instead, and they can feel comfortable learning to do that instead of in an environment where they feel like that's just so mean. And it's an interesting part is some of those kids need that. I mean, if you have a neurotypical kid, that's probably too many words. If you have a neurotypical kid, it's this is what it is. This is the consequence, and you let the kid go through all the emotions that they need for it, and this is what's going to continue to happen every time you do that. Um, and then they'll learn out of consistency. So, sometimes an autistic person, you need to come to their terms. And it's not about trying to get what you want out of them, because they're not doing things for purpose. They're doing things for just to exist. A lot of times. I'm not saying every time because we are all on a spectrum and you can get as many different experiences as you can get different people. So to consider that if you quit trying to try or achieve a certain purpose with an autistic or an artistic person and more towards the enjoyment of existence, the sensory of just enjoying the moment, enjoying, the task, enjoying what it is rather than torturing through it to get to something and instead of being purpose driven like I was raised. Um, you get a different result, and they flourish in many different ways. Um, something you can consider and might apply as much as it's applied to me and my kids. But yeah, you can easily traumatize autistic people way more. And if you can't, then I have to wonder. I mean, they may not show it on the outside, but I have a feeling we feel more on the inside than we show because we have a complexity of emotions going on at any given time that what we show on our face and, or our body or don't show um, can coexist. Two very opposite things can coexist at the same occurrence on a person because we have three-dimensionally feeling and three-dimensionally thinking certain concepts and three-dimensionally occurring, whereas a lot of our information that has been presented to us is one-dimensional. So if you think about all this holistic people or other neurodivergent people who think of life as a strand of yarn, you give that strand of yarn to an autistic person, and certain spectrums, you end up with a three-dimensional crocheted or knitted plushie. I mean, this thing has dimension turned around, filling, and outside. I mean, just like torn apart, taken together. It's not just this linear piece. And sometimes the information presented to you, and it's harder for them to communicate. That's the fun part about our feelings that I've discovered and that I've begun to understand is that neurotypicals, holistic people that are neurodivergent, or even neurodivergent people, and sometimes neurotypicals, and these wonderful counterparts of our society need communication on a one dimension. So sometimes it helps to communicate our three-dimensional feelings by the thread, by the yarn. and know that that is the very tip, or the tip of the iceberg that is seen on the surface of the water of the gigantic glaciers worth of continental amount of ice, mountainously undersea amount of ice. We are three-dimensional. We are, concepts, sometimes an hour of watching, like the information is linear. But it's funny because you get if you get a frequency, it is displayed one-dimensionally, but it's coming at you three-dimensionally. It comes at you in waves that are, they aren't these cute little, it's not a piece of paper coming at you one-dimensionally. It's a whole frequency of sound and visions and things going on three-dimensionally. And we can perceive that. We have the ability to perceive three-dimensionally. Whereas, in order to understand, others need one dimension. And with that together, with the humans moving together and working together and communicating and building trust and doing all things, we tend to work well together. There's more than one way to explain this. For as many different people, there are as many different explanations for what I'm trying to convey. But unfortunately, since we perceive time in a linear movement, and dimensionally we measure it in ways of 56, I am going to go and get my day started. Because it's not just my day that I'm involved in. I interact with others. I love things and my family. So we build circles and spirals and the world's all about us. And enjoy your circles. Enjoy your way of things moving around and coming back around and wheels and globally and the way we all interact. The way that, oh yeah, I know what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about how energy is cycled through, like you die, you become fuel for the earth, and you grow up nutrients, fibrous plants, and plants are eaten by the animals, and we cycle through. We eat the plants and the animals, and we live in the same sunlight, and we cycle through, and energy is dispersed, but energy is never lost. And we are beings of energy. We are beings of these electrical little currents that are just built upon and built upon and built upon. They're instantaneous currents of electricity. They move so fast, perceived and instantaneous, and how the easiest way to move through life is to move towards the easiest. Electricity goes the easiest path every time. So if humans go the easiest path and we accept that, we understand that, we should quit trying to make things hard. Honestly. So I'm going to try to move through an easier day, make the day easier to move through, and try to generate more electricity instead of spending electricity on things that aren't going to equally give. You put your energy into your work. What do you get out of it? Where is my energy going to go today? And consider that. Into my health, so I can get better health out of things. Into my children growing, so that they can grow in their independence and their knowing that they have safe, healthy community. So that because you can't independently get, like, a tree grows in the forest, but it still has its roots connected and growing with, like, the mother tree and the other trees, and they get nutrients as signals and understanding and immune boosts from other plant life. This is over an hour. I don't think you want to listen to me go on for over an hour since, like, only one person watches, and I love it. So if you've ever reached and found value out of my video, I would appreciate a thank you. I would appreciate a subscribe or a like or whatever. If you appreciate this, you should like, subscribe, comment, just the way that we talk about things and just, other subjects. And, you know, obviously, uh, either I'm not reaching the people that would enjoy this content, or people just don't enjoy this kind of content. I'd love to hear about the kind of content that you guys would enjoy. Probably more in health, chronic health, probably. Puppies, love the puppies, and unicorns. Maybe we should talk about that. And yeah, we should consider more to talk about, because tomorrow video will be on Wednesday. And we're celebrating Thanksgiving not because, well, I'm sure there were before. I have to look at the history. We should study the actual history of Thanksgiving, because after brought back where it was not taught that it, or I don't have any memory of it being taught that it's from Canada. I, from Canada, started doing Thanksgiving and brought it to North America, and then further south of them, colonial. So, like, it was, so as a child, I thought, oh, it's the Pocahontas and, oh, what was his name? Her name? There were a couple of people that saved the colonials. They didn't die of starvation. Especially since we were looking at some of the colonials where the adults were too sick and dying, and the children had to do all the chores and stuff. And it gets morbid. So Thanksgiving is a very complex holiday, and we're doing it because the price of inflations. If we make a big old feast, it'll last a couple of weeks worth of food. We'll preserve and cook food that'll last for a couple of weeks. It'll help with our food bill. I mean, we are definitely doing Thanksgiving this week. It's Thursday, but it helps for the household. But yeah, because the turkeys were on sale, and I eat poultry in order to. But yeah, so we should talk more about Thanksgiving. We should find out more about Thanksgiving and talk about that. But yeah, it has different meaning for different people. Yeah, we should not die during the cold seasons. Oh my god. Yeah, you should be able to eat and not starve to death. And make things last. So I should let you guys go. Love you guys. Thank you. I'm running out of coffee. So that means I should definitely end the video. A whole hour to drink coffee. I don't know if it's good or bad yet. Should figure it out. Love you guys. Loves. I should call you guys my loves. My love wise ones. My little wise loved ones. Thank you for joining the Wise One channel. I hope you guys are well. Until next we see each other or meet. Till next we meet. Merry part, merry meet, and merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. So wonderful things to say. Love you guys. Bye bye.